Please mute yourself.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. So we'll begin, and so now, okay, so let's. Okay, so let me welcome you all. A very good morning to all the dignitaries and participants present here today here for this plenary and watching us live on various social media platforms as well. On behalf of the Water Policy Center, it gives me great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our speaker, chair and participants and viewers at this plenary. The Water Policy Center, the organizer of this plenary, it is an independent water policy think tank that conducts in-depth policy-relevant transdisciplinary research. It is established in 2014 and located in the Aurangabad city of Maharashtra. It combines policy and science to produce evidence-based sustainable solutions to the water crisis facing India and the world. We are deeply committed to the making Water Policy Center as a credible voice in water policy, not just locally, but in India and globally. So this plenary here today, we are organizing this plenary on the occasion of World Water Day, and with the title like Valuing Water, Culture, Commodity, and Understanding on Water. Valuing water is also this year's UN Water's theme to celebrate the World Water Day for this 2021. The theme, given the impact of the pandemic and the climate change on the water, we need to value this precious resource in responsible and accountable manner. It means recognizing and considering the benefits of water in economic, social, and ecological dimension. This virtual plenary will highlight how the water valuation driving approach and policy protect freshwater sources and ensure water allocation reaches its most productive, equitable, and environmentally sustainable consumption. From proactive planning to sustainable use, the experts will share their lessons, learn from their experiences, and provide insights on innovative solutions to the valuing water. And to this plenary today, to chair this session, we are having Dr. Saraswathi Unni here with us today. Dr. Saraswathi Unni is a senior research fellow with Water Policy Center, and she is also program director. She is researching and mobilizing resources on water, food, energy nexus, and women in water stress region. Dr. Unni is also former head of the Department of Political Science of the NES Ratnam College, Mumbai, where she had been engaged in teaching and research for more than 35 years. Dr. Saraswathi has been awarded PhD from University of Mumbai, for her research in energy. Apart from this, Dr. Saraswathi has presented papers in several national and international conferences in the USA, UK, China, Spain, Australia, Canada, and Portugal. She writes on gender, water, energy, and development issues. Without extending much, I request Dr. Saraswathi Unni to chair this session, to take over the session and moderate the session forever. Thank you. Dr. Saraswati Unni, this is the floor is to you.
Thank you, Raosaheb Bawaskar. Let us begin with our first speaker, Dr. Suresh Kulkarni. Let me have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Kulkarni. Dr. Suresh Kulkarni is former Secretary, Maharashtra Water Resource Regulatory Authority, and a fellow of the Indian Society of Agricultural Engineers. Dr. Suresh Kulkarni has over 45 years of teaching, training, research, administration, and consulting experience in the water sector at the state, national, and international levels. He has taught irrigation engineering at the Water and Land Management Institute, Aurangabad, for over 14 years. Dr. Kulkarni has been engaged with the international community as well as Executive Secretary of the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage, World Bank, as consultant. Dr. Kulkarni is a graduate in agricultural engineering and holds a PhD in irrigation engineering from the Hungarian Academy of Sciences, Budapest. He has written extensively on irrigation, water management, and has published over 80 technical papers in various national and international journals. So over to you, Dr. Suresh Kulkarni.
Yeah, thank you very much for introducing me and inviting me for this plenary session. Um, Thank you very much, really, once again, to all. Dr. Unni Madam, Professor Raosaheb, and others, all the attendees. Should we start now? I think I would like to share my screen. Just let me try.
So if you are sharing from different device, then Sir, is there any difficulty?
Can you listen can you hear me? No, but I'm trying to share my
Yes,
screen.
sir. Yes.
I'm trying to share my screen, but I don't know how to share.
So it is working. It is working.
It
You
is
just
working.
go on desktop. Just go on desktop.
No. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Can you see my slides now?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It is
Okay.
working.
Then it is fine. Yeah. Is it okay now? Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry for the technical problem. Now
No
I'll just
issues.
speak for a few minutes, which is the time given to me, that I would like to talk about the understanding the value of water. So what is valuing of water? I think Mr. Raosaheb has already explained a bit about it, because this is one of the topic or theme of this year's World Water Day. In fact, valuing water is not a new concept. The value of water is the benefit that people receive from water. It includes not only commercial benefits, that means in terms of monetary, but intangible benefits also, like we irrigate crops for getting higher yields, clean drinking water and domestic water so that we can maintain our health, power generation, hydropower generation or thermal power generation, environmental security, that is aquatic ecosystem, then religious point of view, religious purposes, recreational purposes, recreational parks, etc., and navigation purposes. So there are so many uses of water, and each has its different value. Benefits are usually counted in monetary terms. The value, we said that the benefits, value means benefits, but usually they are counted in terms of monetary terms. Challenge, however, is to explicitly determine the value of water in competing uses. There are various competing uses we have seen for farming, for drinking, for domestic use, so many. So how to decide the value of this, that is a challenge. Actually, it helps the decision makers to better understand and communicate values and the trade-offs between different uses. Why it is important to understand the value? It is expected that the decision makers understand the value, and accordingly they will give the weightages or allocation for the water. The value has many dimensions: economic, cultural, spiritual, emotional, aesthetic, and environmental. Valuing water means changing the way we think about water by attaching value in all its usage. Because this is what really we need, because water, always we think that water is a free good. But we need to think now it has a value, not only price, but it has a value. And again, value is difficult to quantify because different stakeholders conceptualize and describe them differently. It is decided by political priorities, changes in demand and availability. So there are a lot of dimensions are involved in this. So let us quickly understand what is the cost, value, and price of water. Most of you must have seen this on the famous WION channel. It was telecasted on 12th November last year. And there was a news that water is being traded in California. You can see this is like a gold. The water is being traded, and now the value of water, something like they said that $430 per acre foot of water. And now the Western community has been very much conscious that in future water is going to be a very precious commodity. So this is a big news. And many countries like Australia, they are also trading in a big way. In Chile also it is trading in a big way. Now these three terms are used here: the cost of water, value of water, and price of water. What is cost of water? The cost of water is the cost involved in the creation of resources. That, like, for example, creation of a dam. Then bringing water to the user, maybe a farmer, maybe a person living in a city, because it takes a lot of, you have to bring from water from long distances, sometimes from 100 kilometers. It has to be treated, water has to be treated. There is a lot of investment is involved. So whole thing, it is a cost of water. But the price of water is not related with the cost of water. Price of water is related to the value of water. So value of water is different for the agriculture, different for the domestic drinking purposes, different for the industrial purposes. So the value, the price is decided by the value of water. I just came to know that, for example, to supply water in Mumbai or in Pune, the cost is about 60 rupees per liter of water, per cubic meter of water. This is the cost of water, but the customers are not charged to that extent. So there are different strategies and policies which decide the pricing of water. So I think we are very clear that what is the difference between cost of water, value of water, and pricing of water. Now, if you see it globally, a quarter of the world's population live in a country facing extremely high water stress. And here you can see India is one of the countries. There are 70 countries, including India, where we suffer. There is very, you can see here, the extremely high water stress. Okay, that means the water stress is when the water is less than 1700 cubic meter per capita per person, then we can say the stress. So these are the countries like India, Pakistan, Iran, and some Gulf countries where there is a extremely high. You can see this most of the in even some European countries also, they are facing high water stress, including Mexico, etc. So this is a global, actually, the crisis of water stress, and many countries are working in a different way. If you see the Water Resource Institute, the World Resource Institute has worked out the water stress ranking for about 164 countries across the world, and you can see India lies here at the 13th rank. That means there are only 12 countries in the world which are more water stressed than India. So this is really a very matter of great anxiety and seriousness for the country that we are approaching to a very high risk of water. So you can also, that same institute has prepared some sort of map like this for showing for state-wise the water stress. What is water stress? The total water withdrawals, that is baseline 210, and they have taken the mean available blue water, the blue water and green water. Blue water means water flowing in the rivers and lakes and the reservoirs, that is blue water. Taken between the 1950 and 2008, and they found the ratio of this stress. So they classified, the institute has classified this low to medium, high, extremely high, like that. So if you can see the Maharashtra, this part, almost 50% of Maharashtra having high stress, is categorized under high stress, meaning that we are already extracting more than 40% of available water. Even in some places, 80% of the available water is being extracted. Internationally, it is accepted that the water should be, the water extraction level should not exceed the 20%. That means if you have 100 units of water available in your country, then you should not extract more than 20% to be safer side. But maximum 40% is the maximum limit. If you extract water beyond that, then there are water crises. So you can see the Rajasthan, even the Haryana, Punjab, they are facing acute water shortage, water crisis. In southern India also. Only in this western part, this is eastern India, still there is water available, which is means there are no crises as such, but there are crises of management. Now, efficiently, the Niti Aayog has shown that what is the demand supply gap in the country. So they have predicted that, they have estimated that by 2030, just after 8 years, there will be a gap of about 101%. That means the supply will be only for 744 billion cubic meter, whereas demand will be around 1500 billion cubic meter. This is almost double. That is the demand and supply gap will be there. So this is matter of very seriousness. We just don't see in the graphs, but we need to really act before the crisis impact us both socially and economically. Now we always talk about the groundwater. So everybody knows that India is the biggest consumer of groundwater in the world, and this has been talked, and a lot of research papers and so many things are available on the internet. You can see India is saying 250 billion cubic meter of water every year is being pumped every year, and you can. This is comparison China, USA, Pakistan. These are the highly irrigated countries. You can see China has equal irrigated areas in India. In USA also has 24 million hectares are irrigated. Pakistan also about 20 million hectares are irrigated. Iran about 7 million. So these are the large irrigated areas of the world. Mexico, Italy, etc. But India is totally becoming more and more dependent upon groundwater for irrigation purposes. This is a matter of great concern. And groundwater, especially for Maharashtra, where we are located in a Deccan Trap, and the water storage capacity is very small. Now, this is just an example that what other countries are doing, like Bangladesh, for example. Bangladesh has a similar problem. There are a lot of tube wells, lakhs of tube wells are there, and they have prepared really there's a government organization called like BMDA, which has introduced a prepaid smart cards. That means these prepaid smart cards, like our smart, mobiles, mobile SIM cards, they have been given to the farmers. So see the lady farmer using this smart card, and they can use a particular quantity of water using this smart. These are the prepaid. You have to pay first and then extract the water. So there, if somebody is using, some farmer using smart card, then he has to pay or she has to pay 2100 taka per acre. But if she doesn't use, she or he doesn't use, then she has to pay more for that purpose. Such type of regulatory, policies are being implemented, and more than 82,000 such prepaid card holders are there in Bangladesh. Similar is smart cards are being used in China, in northern China, where there is acute shortage of groundwater. So I think we have to think very seriously in Maharashtra that how to really regulate the groundwater, measurement of groundwater. I'm not saying that you should sell that groundwater, but at least we should know how much water is being used by our farmers. And we can give that, okay, you can use the groundwater 1 acre requirement free. But if somebody is using the water for 10 acres, 15 acres, then he should be charged proportionately. So this is very, very important. And unfortunately, we have this Groundwater Act, Groundwater Rule, where I worked as in the Maharashtra Water Regulatory Authority. But since last 6 years, nothing has happened on that. It is a sorry state of affairs. Then you know about Niti Aayog. They have this work out the composite water management index every 2 years, and you can see this performance. There are some 28 parameters which they use to evaluate the performance of the states, and you can see here. Unfortunately, I feel very sad that Maharashtra has dropped down to 8th, level. It is to be second or third, but gradually the Maharashtra water management is really becoming a problematic, and you can see the Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and these states are doing much better, and Maharashtra you can see on the 8th state. So I think again we have to rethink that when we say that Maharashtra is a very forward-looking state and we do many water reforms, and still we say many things about Maharashtra's water sector. But the reality is that we are really lagging behind now as compared to other states. This is also a matter of concern. What has been said globally also, water scarcity will cost India 6% of its GDP if the country continues to mismanage water resources by 2050. The major impact will be on health, agriculture, and income, and the property, of course, because value of the property also related with the availability of groundwater. So this is the World Bank says, and that this is very catastrophic if it affects the GDP. Indian cities are moving towards a serious water crisis. We are over relying on groundwater. And it is already said by World Bank that 21 cities in India is going to be water. Will be no groundwater will be available for in these cities. There are big cities like Bangalore, Delhi, Hyderabad, where there are big crises because groundwater is extracted more than what is replenished every year. Then Central Pollution Control Board, nearly half the country's 445 rivers are polluted for safe consumption without extensive treatment. The UN has ranked India's 120th out of 122 countries in water quality. See, this is very, very serious. This water pollution is another problem. Not only water shortage or mismanagement of water, water pollution is a big, issue in our country. In this case, so the value of water is about much more than its price. Water has enormous and complex value for our household, food, culture, health, education, economy, natural environment. Now, what are the main causes when you talk about water? We talk about the urban water chaos. There is an absence of comprehensive, independent, reliable, and objective analysis of the functioning of the urban water management system in our cities. Although we call smart cities, but I'm sorry, I'm living in Pune, but there is a lot of problems. In Pune itself, the Pune Municipal Corporation says there are 50% non-revenue water. This is a matter of shame, really, because many countries like Dhaka, city of Dhaka in Bangladesh, they have brought the non-revenue water up to 10%. So we are talking about 50% non-revenue water. So we don't really have any such a comprehensive kind of a water management system. Most cities have poor performing corporations, water utilities, unwillingness to set tariff as fiscally responsible levels, political interference in their management, and poor governance practices. The price charged by water suppliers often unrelated to value of water and does not even reflect full cost of water supply. So that is the problem. So we don't have sufficient money to invest in the water infrastructure. Due to inefficient planning, the water newer areas are forced to depend upon tankers and borewells that we know in all cities, in peri-urban areas, maybe Thane, Pune, or other cities, Aurangabad, Nasik. So the new areas, most of the people depend upon the borewells or tankers. So there is no single model of urban water management will suit all cases. No such city each city should develop a model which is specific to its physical, economic, social, political, and institutional condition, as well as people's expectations. So this is very important that we see all this, and this type of pictures are, spread all over the world, showing that what is happening in India. So women and water, actually, because of time short, I will not speak much, but women's role is very, very important in water saving. This just is a women farmer, which we see is operating a automation of Netafim, which really calculates the fertigation, how much water to be applied, how much different nutrients to be given. So women are very competent to operate the irrigation water management, maybe at home or at farm. Now what is happening, especially in Maharashtra and of course in India, that vicious circle of irrigation, because irrigation is a major consumer of water. And this is what we call as vicious cycle, because of, you can see the maintenance, there is no funds for the maintenance. So because of this poor maintenance of structure, inadequate, unreliable water supply, inefficient and corrupt bureaucracy, unwillingness to pay by the farmers, low cost recovery and low budgetary provisions, inadequate funds, and again related to poor maintenance of infrastructure. So even if you are constructing so many dams, the Maharashtra has the largest number of large dams in the country, about 40%. But regarding the infrastructure, the purpose for which the dams have been built for irrigation purposes mainly, they has been neglected. You can see the state of affairs. So we are not really harvesting the benefits for which these big projects have been built. Just about when with water pricing and water tariff, because I worked in the Water Regulatory Authority of Maharashtra, and it is one of the functioning regulatory authority. There are very few regulatory authorities, but they are not functioning as yet. If you see this picture of Maharashtra, how it is, I'm talking about the bulk water tariff, which is from the state sector projects. So, for example, irrigation consumes about 78% of water, but how much the water tariff is allocated is only 19%. So irrigation consumes 78% water, but the farmers are supposed to pay only 19% of water. That too, unfortunately, are not being paid by most of the farmers. While domestic, about 90%, 19% or 20% of water is used for domestic purposes, including drinking, etc. But they have to pay 22% of the water charges. But industry, if you see, the industry consumes only as per the official data available, industry is 2.1% water use from the state water sector. I'm not only talking about the surface water, not from the groundwater, but they are paying 59% of the water charges. So this is the matrix this authority they have prepared based upon certain, a lot of stakeholder consultation and discussion. So the process is based upon the category of bulk water uses. What category, whether the farmers, industrials, or urban dwellers. So depending upon their capacity to pay, this is decided. Then source and location of water supply. Sometimes water is directly lifted from the reservoirs. Sometimes water is released from the reservoirs in the rivers, and then by some bandaras, water is then lifted. So there are various ways water is used. So depending upon the charges varies. Season for irrigation purposes, if you are irrigating in Rabi, if you are irrigating in summer season, the charges will vary. And there are some also disincentives and incentives in all the sectors in agriculture, industrial, and domestic purposes. Now, if you share just an example that the state was the 34 billion cubic meter of water was used in Maharashtra, and the O&M expenses were about more than 1,000 crore expenses. But unfortunately, even then, the recovery of the charges is very, very low. And whatever we are collecting is not sufficient. Whatever we are assessing, many senior officers from the irrigation department say that even the 1,000 crores is not sufficient. They require really much more, maybe 1,500 crores or 2,000 crores. So we require more and more, funds to maintain our systems. So Maharashtra Irrigation Commission has suggested that water rate on crop basis should be fixed up 6 to 12% of the gross income. So I think this is one of the area for the Water Policy Institute Center that they should work really. What should be the realistic policy pricing structure, and the MWRRA will be very happy if you can really give them some good suggestions that how to decide the pricing for different use sectors. Most important is that water is not measured. That means whatever is not measured cannot be managed. That is a famous proverb, everybody knows about it. And I think that is one of the main things that we are not doing in India, country, or Maharashtra, or wherever. So you can see for irrigation purposes, still we are using such type of flumes. Many times we are not at all using. This is only used for maybe 10 to 20% of the area here. But I'm surprised that there is a lot of innovations already taking place. But as far as measurement is concerned, canal measurement, we have not done any innovation during last 30 or 40 years. We are following the same age-old technology, which is really obsolete. So we don't know exactly how much water is being used by the for agriculture or irrigation. So there are such small tools at the farm level. We don't require sophisticated tool like a gated pipe. We know how much water is being discharged from these gates, and then that way we can say that how much water is being given to the farmer by the farmer to the farms. Like this, by even siphon tubes. Using siphon tubes, you know how much water is being delivered to furrows. So these are the very small, simple tools by which we can measure the water. But unfortunately, this has also not been done in Maharashtra. And I am really very surprised that even the agriculture universities have really forgotten to work on the research on the improving the surface irrigation efficiency of the technology. So we need this water metering everywhere at the household level. I was very happy to see this prepaid water meter in the Nanded city, near Pune. There is a Nanded city, and I went to some of our relatives' house, and they said that with their whole society is using these prepaid water meters. This is what really required for everybody, for all the flats. It should be made compulsory that every flat should have this type of arrangement, so you can control your water use. So this is really essential. Now coming to farming, for farmers, how much water we are applying. So I will not go in much detail because short of time. We know this. Each crop has its own requirement. This is scientifically calculated, and a lot of data is available with agriculture universities. But what we are doing, giving. That means this picture shows that we are giving a lot of water than its requirement. That's what we are doing. You can see this is the way we are applying water to our farms. There is need of guidance of how to apply the farm. Just farmers are really releasing water. They don't. There is no connection of how much scientific water is required, what time it should be given. So it is said that in India we are using too much of water. India, for example, it uses 3 to 5 times irrigation water for crops than China, US, and Israel. We always talk about Israel, sir, but we just neglect that what type of technology they are using, how much they are conscious about using water on farms. So this is a matter of concern that we are using too much of water for our agriculture purposes. Rice, this just to show that yields with crop productivity, this is also another concern. Our productivity of crops is very low. Just this is 2.5 for India, tons per hectare. But many countries you can see, even this Australia or Mexico, they have reached up to 8 or 9 tons per hectare. So we are very lagging behind in the rice yields, and many yields are the crop productivity. Similar for wheat also. But of course, there is another story that nowadays that too much of we have got rice and wheat in our godowns. What to do with that? So that is a matter of policy. How much wheat and how much rice we should produce. It is not only the productivity. Of course, productivity should be increased, but what should the maximum, the tonnage we should develop in the country? All these are policy issues, and we really need to invest in modernizing our irrigation systems like Australia. So exactly by using solar, energy, they are able to exactly manage how much water to be released to each miner for 24 hours. And this type of technology of sprinkler irrigation, which really reduces the wastages, should be used. And I'll just talk 2 minutes on this. Does deep irrigation technology saves water? Because everybody really, we are obsessed, even from the big politicians to small water professional. We say that deep irrigation is the only silver bullet for saving the water. But there are many studies available. The drip irrigation saves water at the farm level. There is no doubt about it. You can see in banana or the sugarcane. For example, sugarcane by a traditional method, you require about 25,000 cubic meter of water, but by even 12,000, if you reduce 50%. But ultimately, what is happening? The saved water is not going; it's being not diverted to other regions for drinking, etc. The saved water is ultimately used for expansion of irrigation. So these technologies are very good for expansion of irrigated area. But again, if you see at basin level or sub-basin level, whatever the water, because of inefficient irrigation, water deep percolation, water is again reused. Because in the deep irrigation, there is no percolation. Water doesn't reach to the ground level, groundwater. Many the downstream farmers which are dependent upon the groundwater recharge, now they will be getting less and less water. So ultimately, it is called a zero-sum game. Somewhere we are saving water, and some other farmers are deprived of water. So this also need to be really thought about. This is a matter of policy. What should be the policy to save water? Are you saving water really? This has to be a question in everybody's mind, and I think Water Policy Center should also work on this. I'll not spend much time because regional disparity because in Maharashtra, if you see there are many districts. In each district, there is a different level of irrigation. So it is creating some sort of social unrest. Like Pune, it has 42% of irrigated area. whereas in bid only 19% of irrigated. This is the what is called as irrigation potential creation. Actually, irrigated area much less. These terms are again a lot of confusion is there. The potential created is not doesn't mean that there is actually area is irrigated. It may be different, totally different. So these are the issues which need to be really taken seriously. Coming to industry, again, India's performance is very poor in this case, industrial water use. That industrial water productivity is only 77.5 US dollar per cubic meter of water, as compared to many other countries like Brazil or like this, United Kingdom, even Thailand. It has much more higher, maybe 7 times higher than the industrial water productivity. So this we have to really also take care of whether our industry is using water efficiently. This is again a matter of a study. Like MWR, Maharashtra Water Resource Regulatory, we have compiled some figures that how much water really is, what are the water use standards. Thermal power, for example, it should use 2.5 cubic meter per megawatt hours. But in India, in general, it is to be 4 megawatt for 4 cubic meter. Now, of course, many new plants are coming up, thermal power plants, and they are decreasing the water requirement. In other countries, already you can see China, Australia, US, and South Africa. They have reduced the specific water requirement for thermal power plants. Of course, thermal power plants will be gradually obsolete if the solar energy become more cheaper and cheaper. But still, there are thermal power plants in many water scarce area. And like, Parali, Vijayanath, the thermal power plant was stopped because of non-availability of water. So this is also a major concern. I'm sorry why this has happened. Yes. Like this, for each product, there are some standards are there. And we should also have audit of each such bottled water, how much really bottled water should use the water. So there are a lot of areas in the industry where we require water accounting and water budgeting, water auditing is required. So, this is the wastewater, which is very, very serious concern. The population, you can know this, in Maharashtra is a highly urbanized state, and urbanization will increasing very, very fast. And unfortunately, if we see that this is the something like 8,000 MLD of water is wastewater is generated, and out of this only 60% is treated. This is as per the information available. But many, if you see that there are corporations, 27 corporations in Maharashtra, wastewater treatment facilities available only for 17, and 10 corporations absolutely don't have any wastewater treatment facility, and all raw wastewater is released in the water bodies and rivers. This is a great concern for us. You can see we are polluting all our water bodies and rivers. This is the value. Are you valuing the water? In this case, if you are polluting when we call this life, water is a life, but we practically we are really very negligent about this. So we really need to invest and in this wastewater treatment. There are low-cost wastewater treatments, and specifically using water for agriculture. See, this person is using this raw wastewater for irrigating its maybe vegetables. We know many stories near Mumbai, Thane, etc. That raw water, wastewater is being used for growing vegetables. It's a matter of great concern for the health. Yeah. So, but when we talk about Israel, many people have visited Israel and they talk a lot about Israel. See what they have done. So they have treated water beyond secondary or tertiary level. And this is the across the country. Of course, this country is very small. The country, they brought this water to the farm level. This is the purple color. They have given this purple color means this is a treated wastewater, and is clearly written notice that it is not for drinking purposes. But although it is very, very clean, and then this water is used for different, maybe by sprinklers, drip irrigation. This water is used. So agriculture has a great potential to use this water because it has a nutrient values. So this is another area in India where this wastewater need to be really diverted to agriculture after treatment, and also for of course for the industry uses like thermal power plants, etc. This should be used. So wastewater is not a burden, but a valuable resource. Everywhere, all over the world, people are saying that wastewater is now a resource. It is not a waste because you can generate energy, you can recover the nutrients and fertilizers from the wastewater. So it is no more a waste, and it is considered as a resource. So water, energy, food nexus, some was talking in the morning. This is very, very important that water is not only simply the thought, but energy. It is linked with energy. You know, see, water is needed for growing food. Food is needed for food transport, that virtual water, which is embedded in this water. Food can be used to produce energy like bioenergy, like the ethanol from the sugar cane we are thinking to use. Energy is needed to produce food for pumping water. Energy needed to supply water for drinking purposes or wastewater treatment. So this is also, I think, in the water policy of Maharashtra, which it was framed recently. This aspect is also missing. That how important it is, this nexus, and what really need to be done. Because we know that there are 42 lakh agriculture pumps in Maharashtra, and they use huge energy. And this use and that is used for pumping water. So this is an nexus, and how to use this nexus beneficially is very important. And just take 2-3 minutes more. The public awareness is very important for all water crisis. So if you can see that in our country, in our state, there are very you can see the promotion billboards or these advertisements are very, sometimes they are very neutral kind of things. But if in California, they have such type of boards, they're saying that, California suffered, and they take it very seriously. They even prohibited irrigating the lawns, etc. outside and washing of the cars. So serious drought helps save water. It has some meaning, people are saying, and they may need that, really need to save water. This is what has happened in Cape Town, that zero day that they say. Now they say that they are exhibiting this type of boards, that the dams which are supplying drinking water, domestic water, the cities, the citizens now know how much water is there in their dams. 37%, or accordingly they have to decide how much water to be used. I think this type of very meaningful advertisement or promotion, awareness creation is required in our country or in Maharashtra. Just saying jal hi jivan hai, jal hai to kal hai, this has no meaning. And it should be very touching to the ordinary citizen, so that really he can start saving water. And what is now the way forward? Government should give priority to establishment of water rights, volumetric water measurement. This is very, very important. We are not done even in the cities. Why we are not established the water meters, I don't understand. And of course, in agriculture, it's also important, because though we are talking a lot, but nothing is happening. Its pricing should be volumetric, water accounting and auditing, and allocation enforcement, because government has a power of allocation. You know that the state water reservoir has, the government has the policy of allocation, that 75% of water is allocated for agriculture, and 25% for non-agriculture. That means 15% for domestic uses and 10% for industry uses. This is the general water allocation policy of the government of Maharashtra. Or there are many reservoirs where the almost 50% or 60% of water has been given to non-irrigation purposes. What has happened because of that? The irrigated area has shrunk. Whatever the investment you have made in the in the infrastructure, that has gone waste. Now, how to really restore that? That is the problem. Can you modernize those and restore the irrigated area? So enforcement of allocation of water is very important for industry, for drinking water purpose. Many cities like Pune, they are getting a lot of water than what is really required. Internationally, 150 or 130, and many cities, advanced cities in Europe, they are using just 100 liters per day. But we are using, we say they are 250, 300 liters per capita per day. That is. Can you afford this type of luxury? And this is this disparity. Somebody is using this much water, and others are getting just 20 liters of water per day. A comprehensive cost-benefit analysis for major water resource development decisions. that exactly while constructing the new projects, we don't have a very good cost benefit analysis of India, internationally accepted standard. New dams, etc. We are just politically motivated and we are building dams. Some dams are being built from last 20 years, 30 years, and it's nothing but a rent-seeking process. Good water valuation practices will equip governments, communities, and decision makers to optimize the allocation of water, to improve efficiency, equity, and sustainability. These are important buzzwords in the water management. So understanding the value, how much is really value equipped, how much really we are invested in bringing water to tap of the citizens. We should increase. We should say, convince to the city dwellers that this is the cost. This is the real cost of water, and we need to pay for that. In USA and many European country, the city, the household, you have to pay for both getting fresh water as well as taking wastewater out of your house. Sometimes the charges for removing wastewater, taking wastewater from your house are much more than what is you are getting for the fresh water. So, and we don't get any water bills also. You are surprised. We get energy bills. We get bills for our smartphones, and we are prompt to pay for it. But we don't know how much we are paying for water. That means we don't understand the value of water itself. Good water data. This is very important. What is missing for all formation of water policy? All sort of things. Unfortunately, we don't have very reliable data. We don't know how much area is irrigated. We don't know how much water is being used for different sectors. So there is a mismatch of data, never matches the data from one department to another department. So unless and until we have a strong database, reliable, trustworthy, we cannot make really a policy which is of use. So water data security is therefore a major cause of our reduced efficiency. We have experienced while I was working in MWRA, it was very difficult to get the data. So this is, I think we need to concentrate on this. When water policy is not, and another is where we make water policy maybe at national level or state level. And usually these policies are made by one or two individuals. And these individuals, based upon their whatever the experience they have, they prepare the water policy according to that. We require really a change. Water policy need to be changed. It should not be for whole state. Of course, it could be, but it should for different region, for different district, because it is said that water is such a matter that think globally and act locally. The water problem issues are different from taluka to taluka even. Now, what to talk about the basins. So the water policy has to be based upon each district, so that only really to be more meaningful. Otherwise, it is only just a good things to hear and read. So this is what really I want to say. There are many things because of short of time. Again, I like to thank the organizers for sharing some of my thoughts. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Saraswathi, Unni ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Shaikh
for valuable
presentation.
Yeah. Yes.
So may I now introduce Irfan Shaikh, who will speak next. Mr. Irfan Shaikh, the head agriculture. Mr. Irfan Shaikh, the head agriculture and technology, Manavlok Sanstha Beed. He is also the director at the Sayadri Farmer Producer Company, which is a unique farmer-owned farmer producing organization. He has also worked with the Pani Foundation and Mahila Arthik Vikas Mahamandal. At Manavlok Sanstha, he has worked extensively on agricultural development and watershed management. He is also engaged in initiating various programs for rural development and rural livelihoods. So over to you, Mr. Irfan Shaikh.
Thank you, Unni ma'am. Hello, everyone. I would like to thank Mr. Bawaskar sir also. It was great listening to Dr. Kulkarni sir. The sites the data he shown and presented is really useful and increasing our worries. So let's not waste our time. And I would like to go for the presentation, my presentation. Unni ma'am, is it visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes,
the
yes,
screen
yes.
is visible.
Thank you, Bawaskar sir. So I would like to start. The value of water. Dr. Kulkarni sir briefly mentioned about this also. I would like to skip this one, but I would like to mention one thing. Sir put all the data before us as a global scenario. I would like to put it as a local thing. Sir mentioned about it, but I would like to put an example how the water is connected with us as a cultural or our daily routine part. How we cannot be separate from the water. So my granny used to tell my wife, the day she don't want to work, just tell everybody, doctor suggested me to not to touch the water. I mean, it means she doesn't need to do anything. So our day starts with water and ends with the use of water. Everything we do with we start with water and end up with the water. So a woman and water have an inseparable relationship in our culture, especially in the rural part of India. It's impossible for a woman to work without water. That's why women suffers a lot than men, and she knows the value of water actually. It's not like that the man doesn't know, but the burden for bringing or the fetching water comes to the lady, and that's why we see these kind of pictures always. And it's a harsh reality for all of the rural part in India. So to know the gravity of this issue, I would like to put 5 conflicts before you, before all of you, so that we can understand the gravity of the problem. All of us are aware that we do fight, or we do conflicts for the things which are valuable for us, or for the things which are more precious to us, and we want to achieve those. Say like earlier, the kings and kingsmanships used to fight for the more land and more area, and that was the precious thing for them, so that they can expand their kingsmanship. But now things are going for the conflicts are going for the water. And the very first conflict we are seeing between 2 countries, say India and Pakistan, used to fight for the the fight is continuously going on for the Chenab and Jhelum river. But it's not just limited to India and Pakistan. It's a quarrel between India and China also for the Brahmaputra river. Also, the dispute between Turkey, Syria, and Iraq is over for the Euphrates and Tigris rivers. Israel, Lebanon, and Jordan have disputes over the Jordan River. There are disputes about the Nile River in Egypt, Sudan, and there are disputes in the much more countries for the same thing. The 2 countries are fighting among each other. There are litigations, there are allegations, there are conflicts going on continuously for the distribution of water or the right over the water. We can understand we have accepted country as a unit for our identity. So it's quite obvious that 2 countries are being fighting for the water or the properties among each other. But now that conflicts came over between 2 states also. Not in the 2 different countries, but 2 states of our own country are fighting for water with each other. The dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka over the Babli Dam is known for everybody. This is not just limited between Karnataka and Maharashtra now. The Kaveri River's dispute is between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. The Narmada River dispute is between Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Maharashtra. Punjab and Haryana are arguing for Ravi and Bias water. We grew up saying that India is my country, but we are still arguing with our brothers in our own country for the water. The dispute or conflict come more closer to us. Now these conflicts are going between 2 districts of the same state. Aurangabad and Nashik are the well-known example, prevalent example for this kind of conflicts. Jaikwadi every year, every summer, Jaikwadi water get heat up, and the issue is well known for all of us. There is an issue with water of Ujni, the Ujni Dam or the Bhima. I would like to say there are no dams or water allocation without dispute in the real, all over the state or the country. This is the fourth example of conflict, and this is very harsh. I would like to skip. I don't want to use the name of that village, but it's a reality that someone has. It's a reality that a village from Ambajogai Taluka and Ambajogai's municipal council has a conflict for the water earlier. Okay, so Ambajogai Taluka broke the canal. There was a shortage of water some years before because of the drought, and Ambajogai Municipal Council was unable to provide the drinking water for the municipal people. So they decided to, acquire the water from nearby village. They got visited there. They spoke to the people, and the municipal council decided to put a pipeline from the nearby village to Ambajogai. People from that village do listen to this all, and over the night they broke the canal. They broke the dam and allowed the water to flow, but they didn't give water to Ambajogai. And in order to reduce the shortage of Ambajogai city, this was the planning, but unfortunately people doesn't allow for this, and delegation was helpless because of this activity of the people. Such type of unfortunate and harsh activities are increasing more number of conflicts among the villages, and it's quite worrisome, and it's really painful for the people. The last conflict I would like to mention is between two brothers. Two brothers from a village of Ahmednagar district fought for the common well water, for fetching water for their crop, and they have this argument over the availability of water, or the more number of cycles for their crop. And one enraged younger brother, with the help of his two sons, threw another brother into well. Unfortunately, he died into that. Though these cases are maybe less in number, or right now they are not major cases, but who could say this could not expand, or there is a plenty of availability, and we will not go for the more such cases. And nowadays, as sir mentioned, Kulkarni sir, water is a traded commodity. But the worst thing with that is, though California, Chicago Mercantile Exchange traded this commodity, but ultimately, what if the drought comes up? So they will not be able to deliver water in the future commodities or trading. When we trade for gold or the fuel or the petrol, at the end of the trade, we get the actual commodity. Say we are trading for the gold, we will get gold. We are trading for the petrol or diesel, we will get petrol and diesel. But in this particular water trading, we will not get the water, because transporting water from one source to another is it will be much more costlier than the actual cost of the water. That's why they will pay you the suitable, adjustable, and commonly understandable, acceptable amount for you. It means it will not solve the problem of drought. Using a water as a tradable commodity, it will increase the problem much more, and we cannot drink the money as a water. So trading water as a commodity will increase our problems. So for this all, these numbers of these examples may be small today, but it will not take longer for them to grow, and we should not wait for those worst days. So let's save more and more water. Let's use it very wisely, so that our future generation can use it as abundant as we are using it. For that, here in Manavlok, we are doing, awareness for this. As Kulkarni sir mentioned, women's participation, we are considering into that. People's participation, we don't do any sort of thing without people's participation. We are educating people, and we are advocating policies for the same. Ecological restoration is the only thing, along with the watershed management, range to valley watershed management, which can avail more and more water. For the supply side management, it is very important to go for range to valley watershed treatments, soil and water conservation. In that, compartment bending or CCT, deep CCT, those, all the structures from range to valley are very important. But not just watershed is sufficient to save water or make available water. We need to restore the ecology completely. For that, we need to plant more number of trees, increase grassland area, increase soil organic carbon. We need to go for more water budgeting. We need, as Kulkarni sir mentioned, we need to go for irrigation management, and we need to understand, ultimately we need to go for ecological balancing. For this, Manavlok is continuously working in our region, say like Usmanabad and Latu, with contribution from people, active participation of people as Shramdan and water budgeting. We are trying to achieve more and more water abundant villages or drought proof villages, and the results are like this. This is the deep CCT structure we have done in Jaibahavadi, a village from Bid district of Dharu Taluk of Bid district, and the results are like desilting results. You can see composite Cabian pond result, Nala deepening widening result, earthen gully plug result, or LBS results. The availability of water has raised up, increased up, and for this all you can join us. I would like to request all the participants, if you are not residing in the village and you are residing somewhere in the urban and semi-urban area, you can help us by these three means. Very first thing, please don't waste food, because you are not just wasting food, you are wasting thousands of liters of water which is used for producing that food. I have seen many times that people in the restaurants and hotels and in functions waste a lot of food, and that's not just a wastage of food, but that's the wastage of thousands of liters of water. So I would like to request all the participants in this plenary that please don't waste the food. Use it very wisely. We should consume every single grain and every single thing in our plate, and we should not waste it. As well as save water, avoid misuse and wastage of it. And you can join us for the supporting these villages, drought affected villages, by donating or by any sort of technical help in this all. So I would like to thank with this, and this is the actual result of what happens with the water. The prosperity comes with the water, and the happy family of farmers, they are more interested in working hard and hard. But if there is water, they will get more returns on that. Otherwise, it's difficult for them to survive for their livelihood also. With this, I would like to thank Mr. Bawaskar, all the team of Water Policy Center, and all the participants for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Irfan Shaikh. Now I ask Nita Sangi ma'am to moderate the question and answer session.
But before that, just let me tell, Sudhir Gavaskar will join shortly. So we'll take our discussion first and question on these two presentation, and then we will conduct the third presentation by Sudhir Gavaskar.
Muted.
Okay. So let me begin again. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Dr. Unni and Raosaheb for giving me this opportunity to not only hear these very illuminating sessions from Mr. Suresh Kulkarni and Mr. Irfan Shaikh, but also to ask a few questions which come to my mind. First question for both of you is, how can we create more and more awareness? As you know, Mr. Kulkarni very rightly said that what cannot be monitored and what is not monitored, what is not known, is always wasted. There will always be wastage there. So how can we increase awareness? And my other question, related question, would be, how can we increase the involvement of children and I think senior citizens? Senior citizens are a very important resource which get wasted in our country, you know, who just try to spend their time by being with each other, by attending bhajan mandlis and by doing all kinds of stuff. Whereas they can be really used to create, you know, as a resource, as an important resource. So, Mr. Kulkarni, if you can tell us on that, it will be great.
Yeah, it's great. It's very, very interesting, of course, question. It comes to everybody's mind. The last question, senior citizen, if you say, I'm a senior citizen for already, I'm 69. I'm staying in Pune. And I have voluntarily said to my society, see, whatever the water issue problems are there, I am there to help. It's not just theoretical. What we did actually, we have in collaboration with some startup NGO, we now have the water app.
Okay.
Because when I just joined the society some 1-2 years back, and I saw that a lot of water was flowing, overflowing from the overhead tank, and the watchman was just sitting, and then once the water reaches, comes on the floor, and after half an hour, people, oh, arey, band kar do motor, kya chal raha hai? So I talk with some good friends, and they now we have developed the water app. Now the water app with sensors, our 8 tanks have sensors, and we exactly know on mobile all the let's say those who are staying in our society, all these families, they have now the app, and they know exactly what is the level of water, how much liter of water is available in the tank, in the lower tank, in the upper tank, in the drinking water tank, like that. So, means you have to take such type of initiatives. And as you said rightly, this is a big, how can I say, the encyclopedia or knowledge bank. The senior citizens have because they have acquired over the last 20, 30, 40 years. Only thing is that you should not feel yourself as a retired person or unwanted person, something like that. Still you are active, you are very, very useful for the society. That type of attitude, and we should do something physically, not saying good words doesn't help. I'm always telling to the youngsters here, don't just say that this should happen, this should be done. You do yourself. And then then things will happen. I think this one senior citizen, a lot of place, city like Pune, there is no dearth of expert water professionals. Thousands and thousands are willing to work, and government or NGO should harness, exploit their this one. And regarding the awareness creation, I think this is very important. Of course, everybody talks, and all over the world, awareness is important. But there is no accountability to the government officers. First, take example of participatory irrigation management, which is being, from last 30 years, we are struggling that how to, introduce the participatory irrigation management in all over India. It's happening. But this is the result. This is very, very disheartening. Nothing is really happening. And because there is no accountability to our officers working. If I don't do any my job and nothing happens, I'm a maximum I get the transport. So this type of accountability, saying only that good words will not happen. There should be some proper, and I think most important, water measurement, water pricing, These will automatically will force the people, like your own mobile. You are very careful about its uses. Similarly, unless and until you have mechanism of pricing, you should feel the value of water. No, nothing will happen. Saying good words, whatever you make songs and whatever things, these are very nice to hear and enjoy. It should be some punishment and rewards. Then only this will happen. This is I personally think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I have one more question for you, sir. You mentioned that in the overall water management, Maharashtra has gone to a much below level as compared to some other states. So
Right.
are there any lessons? What are the lessons that Maharashtra should take from these states to improve its water management standing?
Yeah. This really, because really everybody knows about it, but we don't want to talk about it. This is the problem, like elephant in the drawing room. This. So I think we should be very open and we should discuss that why really we are lagging behind. Once upon a time we are at the third level, second level, and still because I have served in Delhi for 16 years in international organization, Central Water Commission. And people still say that Maharashtra is the example. See, look what Maharashtra is doing. But unfortunately, ज्याला आपण मराठीत म्हणतो झाकलीमुठ म्हणतो ना त्याप्रमाणे तर I think the people or officers, bureaucracy should not only, but they should go to the real cause, really what is happening. And I think once upon a time, our engineers, water professionals, is to go on field. They used to guide to the farmers. I know some officers, they used to sleep when the canal is running. They used to have a camp in the village and helping farmer. Now that culture has totally lost. Everybody want to sit in the office and get the work done. So that type of, I think, and we need to encourage the young professionals. That is very important. Young professionals, young ladies, they have a lot of potential. And then I think we have a great potential to come up again. And we have to be really realistic. And mostly what is happening, this is my personal view totally, please don't, because I see that there is a lot of bureaucracies working. Bureaucracy, I'm saying this, there are very good IS people, but since we have brought IS people to technical department, it has become totally they are just administering, not managing the things. So that is one of the reasons that we are lagging behind. That's what my personal view. Thank you.
Sir, do we have the time, Raosaheb? Because I have many questions.
Yes,
and
yes.
are there other questions, Aruna?
Yeah,
Dr.
we
Unni?
can ask other people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. May I?
Yes, please go ahead.
You are the chair. You can.
Sir, your presentation was very data-based and extremely lucid. I have a very generic question. Why is India water stressed despite?
Sorry, I'm able not able to.
Why is India water stressed despite?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Why do we have so much of water stress? In spite
Ma'am, I think some technical problems are there from your side, ma'am.
Yeah. So what I understood is why India is water stress.
Yeah.
This is what I think. This is the question.
Yeah. Why is India water stressed despite having a widespread rainfall and large number of water resources?
That's right. Again, it comes to nowadays people are speaking about the water governance. So the crisis of water are not because earlier it used to be a water management. So people say that there are the crisis of water governance. So I think this is one of the problem, not the See, India has no physical short of water as compared to many countries in the world. We have a lot of water. But since there is no governance itself, governance means rules and regulations. That's what, see, where we are speaking water stress, the farmers. and the city dwellers. That is the way we are expressing the water stress. For the farmers, see, we have a lot of water available in the dam. Out of 100 units, only 20 units reaches to the farm. This is not a shortage of water, but it's shortage of your management, shortage of technology, shortage of governance. So this is what we think that that is the reason that Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority was established, where I worked for 5 years. And all over the world, now the government of India is also thinking that about governance. But problem is that this authority should be independent, autonomous. They should not be part of the government. Unfortunately, today's situation is that they are completely, administered by the government. The appointments of the chairman, appointment of the members, everything is controlled by the politicians and the government. Then how that authority will function independently? So water government, we talk about Israel and Australia because they have 100% independent regulatory authorities in South Africa and Australia. So I think this is the way forward, that we should not talk about the water stress at all. We don't. In my view, a lot of water is there. Plenty of water is there in Maharashtra, in India. There is no dearth of water, dearth of governance. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Aruna, are there any other questions?
Yes, I have a question for
Yes,
Irfan.
yeah.
Okay, so Irfan, you spoke about the deep connection between women and water, especially in rural areas. Now, my question is this a positive relationship? Because according to me, why should the burden of water, sourcing of water, be left to women? In fact, so much of data we have to show how women are actually wasting their time in sourcing water, and therefore they are not able to do other productive work. I think there's a huge gender bias in water management in rural areas. Though, of course, your point that women are best suited for water management, I agree with that. But the physical act of carrying water from so many kilometers away every day, okay, which has even led to a very strange situation in Maharashtra. I think in Vidarbha district of water wives, some people marrying more than one wife, they're called water wives, so that they can fetch water. I'm sure all of us are aware of this. So can you comment on that?
Sure, Unni ma'am, it's great you mentioned this. I would like to, clear it. I don't support these kind of drudgery work are related only to women's. It's a duty of both men and women to fetch the water required for the family. But most of the time we see that the task is allotted only for the women.
Correct.
And if we see the, irrigating agriculture or the farm is mostly done by the, men only, most of the time. So, but it's more drudgerous or drudgery work for fetching water is related with women only. So, with that example, I was trying to put it how a family or a man's life or woman's life is inseparable from water. I was trying to that, and I completely respect your opinion that we should not allot the drudgery work for fetching water only to women. It's a responsibility and duty for both men and women from the family to fetch water required for the family. Rather, we should make it more available that it should not be drudgery for either of them, for men as well as for women, or not for the children of the family. It should be available with ease of business or with ease of accessibility.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Irfan, I have a question for you too.
Yes, please.
You know, you have given us a very vibrant view of your experiences of at Ambojarai, if I'm getting the name right. Is this? I'm sure this would be replicable in other places. Do you have a protocol or a toolkit which someone could follow for that?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I mean, for conducting watershed treatments, we have a very standard, and it is in the public domain now.
Okay.
Actually, I was working with Pani Foundation also, so I can suggest you, you can go over the Pani Foundation website and see all the treatments with scientific data and treatment methodology, how you can implement those all. So it's in the public now. There are PDF books for each treatment as well as the videos for each treatment.
Okay. Okay.
It's easily accessible. It's both in Hindi, I mean Marathi and English only.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have one question, ma'am. Excuse
Yeah,
me,
sure.
ma'am. My question is, good known, Suresh sir, it's a really nice paper, and Irfan sir, you too. It's a very small question. How to sensitize the people, because water resources play a very significant role in India. We feel proud. Okay, we have plenty of these resources, but during acute summer also, when we see the North India and compare it with South India, the South Indian states have too much trouble in getting water. Like my sister living in Hyderabad and one of my colleague in Guwahati, so the problem get compounded. So my question is basic question: how to make people sensitized, because this issue is a very important issue, and the people are not paying too much attention as far as the wastage of water is concerned, or the use of it in a proper way. Like people's looking serious in the news, and when we go past in the street, then we find the water is flowing out from their overhead tanks. So how to deal with such situation?
Kulkarni said, I would like to answer this one first. Siddiqui sir, Kulkarni sir answered this question very well in the earlier question of Neetaji. But what I feel, dar and lalach, these two things are the most impacting for our people. If we could show the harsh realities, coming in the future, and the result of droughts and distress of water, we could show to our people or our younger children. They will, of course, they will think about using it wisely. And we should not just tell them, we should act it likely. Say my son is 5 years old, and if I'm saying don't waste water, and I'm continuously opening, I continuously kept the tap open while shaving. He came up and nudged me and said ki, Papa, aapne bola tha ki pani waste nahi kar rahe aur aap kar rahe ho. So not just by saying, you have to act yourself, and by starting from our own, let's start that way. I mean that action is important.
Like I'm doing in my home, I am utilizing my kitchen water for my gardening also. So my children used to participate with me, and I used to avoid all sort of wasting, including washing cloth also, and whatever water we get from washing, we also utilize this in our nursery and potted plants also.
Yes. The problem really lies with the demand side management, not just the supply side management. We are getting more than required irrigation. Rainfall. We are working more and more supply side for, say, treatments of irrigation on dams and irrigation treatments and soil conservation and water conservation. All those parts we are working more and more that way only. We need to work on demand side management of the water. We need to use very wisely and manage the water resources very wisely. That way we need to teach our people more and more. And it's not just to work only for water and you cannot solve this problem of droughts and water stress by just acting on water. You need to completely restore the ecological situation, because everything is related, interlinked. We need to work on afforestation. We need to work on grasslands, because that holds water more and more. We need to work on organic carbon, because soil organic carbon retain more and more water. We need to restore the ecological system completely. That way we can face the future problems, or we can enable ourselves to become a drought proof village, or that way. For that, we need to continuously work upon this, not just on these World Water Day or National Water Day. We should talk about this. We should continuously talk about this, and not just talk. We need to act upon this all.
Yeah, just I would like to just add. It's a very good, I think, explanation Mr. Irfan has given. I fully agree what he has said. I think it has to be done by different. The corporation has its own responsibility. The society, individuals, its own responsibility. It's not only individuals or simply the society or the corporations. Each has to follow its own. So it is one. Firstly, corporations, all we know how corrupt they are. Let us be very frank. So this actually we should bring pressure. And all over the world, these countries like, we always give example of Singapore. Of course, it is a different society, and this one, or even the Cambodia, people say that the water is managed so well there by this one. In Dhaka, people admire the World Bank, Asian Development Bank. They are ready to give a lot of loans to them. So these are required as independent board. If we, presently the corporations are taking care of our water supply, unless and until we have a separately funded and independent expert body of water supply and sanitation. Sometime I was when I was in Mumbai, I was looking for some person in the Mumbai corporation. Some insect inspector was responsible for water supply, water control. He was looking for insect control. So we are still following some of the age-old British periods, rules and regulations, etc. So this is very, very important. Another is that I have seen in the countries like Israel or Australia, we always say the labeling of water fixtures, water labeling. Like we have electricity, we have 3-star star rating, 5-star, 3-star, 4-star rating for our geysers, for our lights, etc. So that we know. Similarly, they have really started the program of labeling of fixtures, water fixtures. Either WC, for example, we waste many times. We waste a lot of water in WC. Almost 75% of water is really, which is very high cost water. We are wasting through our WCs. So this type of devices should be made compulsory. That this should have a rating of 4 or 5 stars. That means it should only use this much of water. So like this, even I have seen some Rotary persons were doing some promoting business, simple device in kitchen, which will save the water by making a spray instead of a jet. So even small such steps will really help to save a lot of water. So it has to be done both by government, by corporations, by the society, by the individuals, and ultimately measurement and pricing. It comes to that. I think once we start pinching to our pocket, we'll start acting on that. Otherwise, even you talk a lot, it remains a talk. This is what I personally feel always. Thank you.
I do agree.
Yeah, so audience, any more questions, please ask.
There is one question by Himani Zofe.
Yeah.
And the question is how we can save groundwater. How we can save groundwater. I think the question does not address this question to anybody particularly.
You want me to answer this? Yeah, see, because of lack of time, actually, I did not elaborate much. But again, this Groundwater Regulatory Authority, where I worked, Maharashtra Water Resources Regulatory Authority, that regulatory authority has also been designated as a state groundwater regulatory authority. That means there is an act. It was passed in 2009, and it was the responsibility of implementing that act was given to the MWRRA in 2014. And unfortunately, from 2014, because the rules has to be formed. Unless the rules are reformed, the act cannot be implemented in a legal sense. And that is controlled by Water Supply and Sanitation Department. And since last 6 years, no rules, the rules are prepared, but they are not been approved by the assembly. So this is the state of affairs. So we can see the seriousness, how serious we are about the groundwater. And another problem is that we give example of Israel and China and many other countries. But in those countries, the groundwater belongs to the state. Unfortunately, in India, groundwater belongs to a person who owns it. That means I have a land of half an acre. I can extract as much water as I want. Although in the Groundwater Act, there is a provision in the what is called as there are watersheds, overexploited watersheds. We cannot construct well more than 200 feet. But this all remains on the paper. Nothing is happening. It is not that easy to implement such type of acts. So very strong will is required for this. And groundwater really, farmers need it desperately. There is no doubt about it. Because I heard that one of my friend, Parmani, told that he has some 100 acres of land and he has 100 borewells in that land. Because he said that if that borewells works for 1 or 2 years, that is enough for him. So this is the state of affairs. We don't know how many wells are there in Maharashtra. GSD is there. Unfortunately, GSD is doing their own business, different thing. But in my point of view, there is no proper accounting of groundwater. We say that from so many years, I'm hearing that only 17 billion cubic meter of water is groundwater is used in Maharashtra. How come like that? How no? It is not increasing or decreasing. So there are many issues. Scientifically, we are very, very weak in groundwater assessment. And of course, another is we are not talking about the sugarcane, especially in Maharashtra and especially in Marathwada. Sugarcane is sucking a lot of water. I have calculated in whole Maharashtra, 20 billion cubic meter of water is used by the sugar. Many people say 70% of water, but I don't agree with this. 20 billion cubic meter of water. That means 40% of water is used by sugarcane itself. So changing cropping pattern is the solution for the Maharashtra, with state like Maharashtra. So groundwater, people will definitely go for sugarcane because there is a whole politics and cost involved in that. And farmers are right. If I get some profit, I will go for that. So there are a lot of issues in groundwater. So policy, strategy are very important. And another, which I mentioned in Bangladesh, and we need to measure the groundwater. There is no doubt about it. Groundwater has to be measured. You give some free water to a farmer. If farmer has 1 hectare of land and it requires 5,000 cubic meter of water per 1 hectare of land, just give it free. Don't bother. But if somebody is using more water, 10,000 cubic meter, 20,000 cubic meter, then we have to charge. And charging is through electricity. You know, the nexus is there. So you can charge through electricity. So groundwater regulation, as it has been done, the Andhra Pradesh has tried. It is a great experiment was done in the Andhra Pradesh. Now the farmers in the villages, they have their own society, and they're like, you take example of Hure Bazaar. Of course, there is only one or a few villages. How they are managing the groundwater by managing the cropping pattern, they can manage. So there are known strategies, known solutions are there. Only thing that how to implement and who will implement this, which department will implement, because groundwater is, as I see, it is not managed by the water resources department. The water department only dams. GSD are the water supply and sanitation. They are only bothered about the drinking water supply from the groundwater. Who is there to take care of the groundwater? There is no department. No soil conservation water department taking. So this is another gray area gap where groundwater is really not. There is no. It is orphan. Nobody is bothered about it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So, are there any more questions from the audience, please?
Yeah, if there is no question, Neeta, will you allow me to ask one question?
Yes, please do.
Okay, sir, this is for you, Dr. Kulkarni. Now I just want your opinion about a rather controversial issue of sugarcane cultivation. As we all know, sugarcane cultivation, like paddy, consumes the most amount of water. And in Maharashtra, the government is in fact giving incentive to convert cereal and pulse growing areas into sugarcane cultivation, because obviously sugar fetches more water in the market, more price in the market. So now, isn't this something that's extremely dangerous? And is there a way out? Can we move away from sugarcane cultivation in drought-prone areas?
Yeah, I think there is a tremendous discussion.
I just add one more because
please.
I have this data, and which is very shocking. That is how sugarcane consumes 22.5 million liters of water per hectare in 14 months of the sugarcane cycle. During the period cycle of growth of pulses and cereals, you need only 4 million liters of water. The difference is so huge. And yet young farmers are now going towards sugarcane cultivation because of the incentives given by government.
Yeah. I think this is an issue which Maharashtra, many water professionals are discussing in Maharashtra about sugarcane since long. But at least I'm also dealing with talking on this subject from last 10 years. But I have come to the conclusion now that it is a highly political, although everybody understands that sugarcane is taking a lot of water. As compared to, UP, water productivity is very, very low. If people say that some 2,000 or 2,500 liters of water is required to produce 1 kilo of sugar, which is 900 or 1,000. This is half in UP. These figures are available, but ultimately what comes is the political will, and we have 200 sugar mills and they should run the business, and they have their justification. They say that it is a 40,000 crore business, sugar industry business, and many farmers are depend upon it. It is true, no doubt about it. And farmers, I don't want to blame the farmers, definitely, because they would like to have money. Anybody would like to earn money. So only thing now what government is proposing, really I just mentioned in my presentation that use drip irrigation for sugarcane. But unfortunately, that is not the solution. Drip irrigation will not solve the problem of water scarcity. It will only increase the irrigated area. That means, as the demand increases, as you supply more water, that water will be consumed. And nobody will like to spare that water in the dam. Do you think that using drip irrigation, people will use less water from the dam? They will reserve the water in the dam? No. All the water, last drop of water, they will try to remove from the dam and use it for either for drip or for this crop or that crop. So that means to your question is that only there are some areas, because in the Krishna Valley, if you see in the Pune district, Kolhapur, relatively water is plenty. Because there is a regional, basin-wise availability of water is different. It is not the same in Tapi, it is not the same in Godavari basin. Within the sub-basin also it is different. So we have to plan really this sugar cane or any cropping pattern. Planning should be strictly based upon the sub-basin. Because each sub-basin has a different water availability. In Marathwada, for example, there is acute, if you work, it is in Godavari basin, it is located in upper Godavari basin, and there are some more basins. Water availability per hectare is very, very low. How can we take the sugar cane there? Now the government's policy should be to give some. Now I read today in the today's paper, somebody saying that you please give 10,000 rupees per hectare to the farmers who will grow the pulses. Because we are importing 80,000 crore worth pulses every year. So why to do that? Why not to give this incentive to our own farmers? Give them a lot of money. Means just not that by the direct transfer, those who grow the pulses. Because as you said rightly, pulses require 1/3 amount of water than sugarcane. And ultimately, farmers are interested in money. If within the short period, if they get good profit, with less this one. So I think ultimately it comes to a matter of policy and strategy by the government. So definitely farmer will shift automatically from the sugar cane to other crops, which requires a less, water as well as less drudge area also. This is what I feel. Yeah.
I would like to add something. there was one point in my presentation about farm economics. Unless and until we could make other crops more profitable than sugarcane, farmer will not shift to the other crops. That is the thing that was important in the presentation. Whenever we talk about water, ultimately we blame the sugarcane and sugarcane farmers. But the reality is, as a farmer myself, I'm a farmer and I do grow sugarcane and I do use irrigation water. Why do I choose sugarcane? Because I have the assurity of market. It will go for a factory or sugar industry, and at least something. I'm assured that I will get something assured. It may be not as a FRP, I mean full of the FRP, but I will get something. On the other hand, I have no such security with other crops. Say I'm growing cotton. It was less than 5 or approximately 5,000 rupees per quintal just before 1.5 months. Now it is 6,700 rupees per quintal. I have no security or assurity of the market. We need to create such assurity with more productive systems, or as Dr. Kulkarni said about the pulses and everything. Same thing is about with wheat and in Punjab. Why Punjab farmers do grow more and more wheat? Because there is the system which procure there is a system which gives the security for a farmer to provide proper market rate for the wheat. They don't take more sugarcane like Maharashtra. They take wheat. Why do they take? Because there is a security of market for wheat. We have the security for sugarcane. That's why more farmers are going towards, and then it's a superstition that sugarcane is a profitable business. I have a separate talk for this, and it's available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel called Hoyami Shetkari, that sugarcane is completely lost. Farmers with 30 to 40 tons per acre are making more and more losses with sugarcane and not the profit. It's a superstition that sugarcane is a profitable business. That's why we need to understand farm economics with respect to water, with respect to the profitability, and with respect to the use of water for cropping pattern. And if we want to substitute the sugarcane, we want to reduce the area of the sugarcane, we should provide the substitute. Unfortunately, nobody is talking about the substitute and the income assurity of the farmers, who are just blaming. That's why farmers are the people who are neglecting this issue. Ultimately, they say, "Jo dunya ka hoga, wo mera hoga." That is the thing.
Thank you, Irfan.
Thank you.
Question from students. There are some students. So, any question? Two of our speakers, one is Rajat Pandey, is not feeling well, so he's hospitalized. That's why he's not joining. And Sudhir Gawane sir has some emergency meeting, so he said that he will be joining at 12:30, but still is not able to join. So Unni ma'am just take the final call.
Okay. On World Water Day, as we raise awareness of the global water crisis and work towards the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030, let me draw to a conclusion of plenary whose main theme is valuing water. Let me now draw attention to some of the main takeaways of Dr. Kulkarni's presentation. He has said that water has both tangible and intangible benefits, but it is difficult to quantify as different stakeholders perceive water differently. He explained in the simplest of terms the links between cost of water, value of water, and price of water. A quarter of the world's population face extreme water stress, including India. He graphically explained this. In global water rankings, India is 13th among countries with surface water stress. 9 states in India face high water stress, including Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, UP, MP, and Gujarat. The gap between demand and supply is increasing at an alarming rate. India is the biggest consumer of groundwater in the world, and this is causing several problems. 40% of India may not have drinking water by 2030. Half of the country's 445 rivers are highly polluted. As far as urban water management is concerned, Dr. Kulkarni said it is chaotic because of poor governance practices and inefficient planning. So he said each city must develop a model that suits its specific physical, economic, social, and institutional conditions. Our irrigation management has fallen into a vicious circle of poor maintenance to inadequate water supply to inefficient and corrupt bureaucracy and unwillingness of consumers to pay. Water tariffs favor the irrigation sector at present with 19% tariffs on agriculture, 20% on domestic consumption, and 59% tariff on industry. He stressed on the need to measure consumption of water. And that is why he famously said, what is not measured cannot be managed. As for water management by Indian farmers, India uses 3 to 5 times more water than US, China, and Israel. Modernization of irrigation convergence, conveyance can help in efficient use of water, he said. Even in industrial water productivity, there is lot of wastage, which can actually be used after treatment. So he concluded by saying, create awareness of water stress among citizens, allocate, there should be more water allocation, and there should be a very strong water database. Now coming to Irfan Sheikh's presentation, he is a person who works on the ground, and therefore he began with the deep connection between women and water, especially in rural areas. Disputes among states. He spoke at length about disputes between states in India, between villages, between countries. As we all know, it's a very sad state. He has given us examples from near Beed district to show how even families are at war with each other because of water. So therefore, he then spoke about water as a commodity, which he called as water futures. However, he concluded that this water commodification will not help us because obviously we cannot drink water. So he said, let us therefore ensure that we have abundant water, okay, for the future generation. This is how he concluded. Thank you. Bawaskar,
Thank you, everyone.
would you like to wind up?
Yeah. Thank you, Kulkarni sir, for joining with us and giving this very wonderful presentation and enlightening us on this issue. I also thank Irfan for joining and sharing valuable experience, I may say, because you are, as ma'am said, you are a person who worked ground level and having this ground level experience. So both of the speakers have given a very enlightened presentation, and thank you for this presentation. I also thank Saraswathi Unni ma'am for chairing this session and handling this 2-hour session. We had 4 speakers, but as looking after this, the 2 speakers have actually spoke 2 hours. So now I realized that for 4 speakers, I need at least 4 hours. Then we can do justice for the topic as well, because such a wonderful presentation and the detail and the most important thing I liked in this presentation today, in this plenary today, as chaired by Unni ma'am, we have given to it a lot of space for discussion, because while discussing we clear many points and many topics and many, we can say, the topics which we cannot cover through this presentation. So that is good thing that I realized today, and it's good that we are exploring new thing every time. So thank you, Unni ma'am, for moderating this session and taking the lead. I also thank Nita Sanghi ma'am for we are discontent and taking care of all this, commenting on the presentation, and as well as bringing questions from audience and giving your valuable time. I thank all the participants, particularly those our students from Indian Stockholm College or partner college, and other participants. And there are some participants who are regularly attending our events. So I thank all of you, and I thank Water Policy Center team as well. Thank you for joining us here today, and also I also request you to be with us for our future activities and events as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.